Hi there and welcome to my channel. I'm Jeanette with Vivo Vintage Designs. If you're new to my channel, welcome. On this channel we learn alcohol ink and watercolor together. So if you ever have any questions, leave it in the comments. I will always get back to you, and check out the description box and the comment section for links to the products used. All right, now let's get started. I'm really starting to feel like Britney Spears. Oops, I did it again. I forgot to turn the camera on for this painting when I started it. By the time I realized it, I was not even close to being finished with it. So let me explain to you what I did. For this painting, I am using my Artex acrylic markers. You can see I added a sky. I used some blue and purple. Then I made some hills in different colors. Here I'm adding some clouds with the white marker. And I also outlined each of the hills with an orange marker. Then I started adding little trees. So all the light blue ones are the same shape, the dark green and the purple. Each color is the same shape throughout. Then I took a micron pen and started filling in the trees with a little pattern. So all the light blue ones have the same pattern, and all the dark green have the same pattern, etc. Once I was finished adding the details into all of these little trees, I decided to take another fine liner with a really fine tip, and I started to outline those outlines. And then within those outlines, I added some white dots. And then I decided to start adding some detail, but my camera died. So this is the finished painting, but there's more, so hold on. Okay, so for this next one, I started out by drawing some hills first. Once I was finished with the hills, I added some houses. I also added a few trees. And you can see I am not taking my time with this. I'm just drawing shapes. And as I've mentioned so many times before, with this style of painting, it's not about perfection. It's a whimsical painting. That's what makes it whimsical, is that nothing about it is perfect. And that's what gives it charm. So don't worry about your lines being straight or everything being perfect. Just have fun with it, and you'll be surprised how beautiful it ends up. So for this painting, I'll be using my Kuretake paints. I did pull out about 3 or 4 different palettes of paint because I wanted to make sure I had the colors that I wanted. So here I'm turning the painting upside down, and I'm starting out with the sky. And I'm using indigo and some purple. I don't know the names of all these colors because they don't always show on the top of the palette. In some of these palettes, it's underneath. So use whatever colors you like. I like bright and cheerful colors for this style of painting. So you can see that I painted my sky, and now I'm painting the hills. And I'm skipping around because I want to give areas time to dry before I start painting next to them. So that's why I'm skipping all over the painting. But for this painting, what I decided to do was to paint the outline of whatever shape it is that I'm painting. And once I get the paint on there, I am going to just wet my brush and use the water, like you see me doing here, to bring that paint that I outlined with into the center, and that way it appears lighter in the center, and I really like that look. It just makes it a lot easier too. So you see me doing it here again, and it gives you this nice highlight in the center. So once I finished filling in my houses and my trees, I decided to paint the path, and for that I'm using a gray color. And again, I am outlining and then cleaning my brush in the water and just running it across in between those lines so that the color blends into the water. So it seems a little bit darker on the edges and lighter in the center. And with this painting, I gave myself permission to get carried away and to add everything and anything that I wanted. I find that I'm always trying to contain myself, trying not to add too much, but I realized while I was painting it that that is just my style. That's just what I like to do, and it's okay. I have to say that I paint to show you, to teach you, to inspire you. But more than anything, I paint for me, and you don't have to add all the extra detail that I add in my paintings. You can stop at any time, but adding detail is what I really enjoy. So for this painting, I added all the detail that I wanted, and I was so happy with the way it turned out. And again, as I mentioned just a moment ago, you can stop at any point in this painting. It's still going to be pretty. Okay, so here I have finished painting all the elements, and now I'm using black with a small brush, and I'm going to add the details in some of the trees. I don't think I added them in every single tree, or I should say every shrub, but I think I did add it in every tree. And what I'm trying to do is to keep the pattern or the design that I'm adding in each tree a little bit different. So you can see the first one had branches pointing up, the second one had a bunch of branches going in different directions, and the third one has branches going down. So like I said, I'm going to change it up a little bit on each tree. And if you're not comfortable using paint to add these patterns, you can simply use a micron pen or a Posca pen with a small nib, which is usually what I do, but for this I wanted to use the paint for some reason. And I'm glad I did because I like the way it turned out. Okay, so now I'm going to paint a crescent moon in the sky. And for this, I'm using Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. This white really shows up so well. It's better than any Posca pen or acrylic paint pen that I've used. And then I'm also going to use the tip of my brush to add a few stars. Now, I wasn't crazy about the way that moon turned out, so I played with it for a little while until I was happy with the way that it looked. Now I'm using a 0.7 nib black Posca pen, and I'm adding the windows and the doors to the buildings, but this one ran out of ink, or it was starting to skip, so it's time to replace it. So I did bring out another one, and I finished adding all the windows and the doors. And you can see that none of my windows are straight. The doors, nothing is perfect about this. And that's what I love. It's just, you don't even have to think. You can just draw or paint, and you don't have to worry. When I do a detailed painting, it takes me days to do it. And I second guess myself, and I constantly come back and look at it, and it drives me crazy. It really stresses me out when I do a more detailed painting. Although I do enjoy it once it's finished. I love the way it looks, but it is not as freeing and stress-free as this style of painting. All right, so now that I've added all my doors and windows, I have another Posca pen, again a 0.7 nib, and I'm going to outline all the elements of the painting. And for me, of course, you don't have to outline everything. I like to do this because it gives me crisp lines, and it's just an added detail. It refines everything. Now, to add some light in the windows, I'm using a gold chrome marker. And this is a metallic marker. It is one of my favorite gold markers. I also have one in silver that I will use later on. And unfortunately, the video doesn't capture how beautiful these markers are. So you'll just have to take my word for it. I'm also using it to add a few stars. Then I use the Posca pen to add a little bit more detail and to refine those windows a little bit more. Now I'm using a white gel pen to add some more detail. And it's going to be simple. I'm just adding some white lines to this little hill here. Now I'm deciding what to do next, but I'm going to stick to the white gel pen. And I'm just adding a few dots to one of the trees, and I'll be adding some little scallops to this shrub here. I also added some white branches to this tree. And I'm just going to go around and add some details wherever I think I may need them. And keeping it very simple, just basically lines and dots. And you'd be surprised what a difference they can make. Now I'm using a white Posca pen to add some dots in this little hill. And I'm also using different color Posca pens to add some dots in the trees, either on the branches or at the end of the branches. Here I'm using the white gel pen to add stripes to the trunk and branches of this tree. Now I'm using a silver chrome marker to add some leaves to that tree or shrub. And then I decided to add some silver dots to the branches and trunk of this tree. And I love the way this silver looks so much that I used it to add some little lines to this hill. Then I didn't like those white dots, so I just decided to add 2 little leaves at the bottom of each circle to make them look like flowers. And I thought I was finished, but then that last hill didn't have any pattern on it, so I used a micron pen to add some swirls. And I could have kept going. I could have added more detail to the houses, but I figured I had enough going on with all the details and the trees and the shrubs and the hills, so I left it at that. I hope that you enjoy this painting. It was me letting myself go and not holding myself back. I added a lot of detail. I absolutely love the way this turned out, and I hope you do too. And just remember, you don't have to do things exactly like I do them. You can stop at any point. So here we are removing the tape, and I'm going to show you. It did bleed underneath the tape a little bit, but I used the Dr. P.H. Martin Bleed Proof White to clean up those areas where the tape, the paint bled underneath the tape. And it's barely noticeable that it ever happened. Well, again, I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you give this style of painting a try. It's so much fun. And check out our Facebook group, Vivo Vintage Design Tutorials, where you can post your versions of the paintings and techniques learned on this channel. I'd love to see how you do. And as always, check the description box for links to the products used. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.